What you on about? The first words I said to someone after I got my wisdom teeth pulled was, "What you on about?" Wisdom teeth extraction was so intense. I had to get my wisdom teeth removed for jaw surgery because where my jaws had to move, it's where like teeth were, like the third molars, which are wisdom teeth. All four third molars have to be removed with how my jaw was. And it's better to have less teeth in the back at least because crowding. So it gives like your other teeth a little bit more room and it's better to have space between your teeth. I got my teeth pulled at a local college because that's the cheapest way to get it all done. The whole surgery was essentially through that too. People that aren't experienced are doing it. What they did was, it was the most intense medical thing that I was awake for, I'd say. Basically, it starts with numbing. What's it? Local anesthesia? General is like full body, right? Local, they put into the palate, the roof of your mouth, and just like a straight huge needle right up there and just shoot it. And they also did the backs and the sides, but like the needle going in through the roof was so painful. Goodness. And then from there, I told them, I was like, yeah, it takes me a while for this to kick in. Anesthesia stuff is pretty weird on me. They came back, and I was like, yeah, maybe a few more minutes after they poked around. They're like, okay, like 15 minutes. Then like, it's like, it's a few people. There's always students watching too, because that's like part of the whole thing. This person like rolled out this thing with all the tools and they looked very like just like tools, not like, it felt like it was like tools because like it was like wedges. There were different sized wedges. They started thin and they got wider and wider. And what they did, they just put between the second molar and the third molar, put a wedge in, start wiggling it as hard as they can, forward, back, pull it out, take another wedge up the size, forward, back, then another wedge. And it's like 6 wedges. And it's so intense, the whole experience. It's like your head is being held by someone. The person's standing over you. You're wedging between your second and third molars, forward, back. And it was like 6 wedges in. So like each tooth took probably like 5 minutes. And then they get literally like just pliers, essentially pliers. And then they just wiggling it forward, back, and just pull it out. When it comes out, it's like so intense. By the end of the first tooth, I was dripping sweat and full adrenal. My vision was like so tunneled. It was such an intense experience being held. I understand why people get put under for this. I'm like, it was so much more intense than I ever imagined. It didn't break any of them. There was no breaks, which is good because roots breaking are like, all my roots were straight. The most ideal teeth removal. No problems, no breaks on the teeth, but like, they're just wiggling it out of your jawbone. It was so intense. I've never experienced something so intense while awake. I've experienced much more intense while put under, but it was so crazy. So afterwards, I'm sitting there. They're like, "All right, you're good to go." Like I'm still laying there. I'm like, my vision's full tunnel. I could just hear my heartbeat. I can barely hear anything. I'm like almost underwater. Because after 4 teeth, it was like 20 minutes of just that going on. I guess they were just like normal speed. I guess that's how it is. The person also was like breaking a sweat doing it. They like packed my mouth full of like just like gauze. I remember just walking down I could like my shirt was like drenched in sweat. Like it was so obviously I was just like profusely sweating. I remember walking down the hall. There's like tons of people waiting to I guess also get like extractions. I think there's like the extraction room. My mouth was like, yeah, the gauze was just like sticking out. It was like completely bloody. I was covered in sweat and I just remember I couldn't like hear anything. It was like underwater-ish sounding. I was still trying to come to from like adrenaline. And my vision, like it was so like, I do get like, I'm very adrenaline sensitive, I think. When mountain biking, I get it too. I get tunnel vision and like color boost. And I had like color boost tunnel vision. I remember my father was taking me home. There's no way I would ever trust myself to drive in that state. I would have to like sit in the car for like 20 minutes probably to come down because it was like so intense. I remember the first words I said was, "What you on about?" because of the song. Yeah, lots of people get knocked out for it. Well, when you go the cheap route, it was like $60 a teeth or something. Or was it $60 total? It was incredibly cheap to get all 4 extractions because going through the university. I could see as I'm like on it was one of those chairs with the feet places on the armrests, like an old school chair from the 50s. I remember students looking at through my eyes, like flicking around wide eyes, and they were also scared watching it. It might have been the first time they were seeing this. I don't know. Is this normal? I don't know what was going on. There was numerous times students were watching me during my orthodontics, and like they would send them to do like useless tasks, like measure this person's jaw opening width. And when I did it, they got scared because how wide my mouth opened, because my jaw dislocates when I open all the way. Soon there was like 12 people staring at me, being like, "Whoa, I didn't think this was anything remotely special." Apparently, I'm like 10 millimeters more than normal or something. You need to get your wisdom teeth removed in the future? Get put under for it. I wouldn't recommend anyway to do, but I did. Half sleep anesthesia is known as twilight. I think that's the term that they use here. I don't think I've ever had twilight before. No, I never have. It sounds fun. Sounds like you're just like, I'm good, I'm chilling. Oh, what you doing? That's a very normal procedure for a wisdom teeth extraction. I say third molars usually because it makes it more clear in my head that's so far back that you have 3 molars. The only fears with like wisdom teeth extraction is if the root breaks and then they have to extract all the breaking parts. Sometimes that's really hard. Like if when they're wiggling and pulling it out, if it like snapped, then they have to break that up inside your mouth. And that's usually where you get like they have to cut you open in the gums, and then stitch it back together type level of bad. And some roots are like swirly. Mine were just straight. I have my wisdom teeth still somewhere. I think they're in that drawer over there. They can be way worse than what I had. So I had it pretty easy. It was just very intense, the whole quote unquote operation. Yeah, you go premium route, yeah. You should. Old snake jaw, yeah. I'm old snake jaw. Maybe I'm a snake, yeah, that's what animal I am. I don't want to be a snake, but I am cold. I do get slimy. I like laying in the sun to stay warm. And my jaw dislocates, so. During jaw surgery, the surgeon told me, try not to dislocate my jaw like that because it got stuck open. And then it's because it pops out. And if something's gonna pop out too much, it'd be hard to get back in. He said he was fighting for a while. He told me how to do it, if it happens. It's like you'll push down where your third molars used to be and pull up with the front. And if you can't, you'll just have your mouth stuck open and go to the ER. It's gonna hurt a lot to get it back in place though if you're awake. And they would do that, of course. It's American medical. They don't do anything for the patient's comfort.